and welcome to By the Mash Tun, a podcast by a couple of nerds where we brew some beer, drink some beer, and have a nice little chat about some beer. Hello, I'm Mike Harrison Wood.
I'm Cal Noble.
Hello, Cal Noble.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. What are we brewing today?
Well, it's a Witbier, but it's a bit of a hybrid between that and a Witbier.
So, explain what both those things are. They sound very similar.
So it's to do with like additives. So putting in additives and also the type of wheat that you would use. So I think it's a Witbier because I'm adding in honey and orange peel.
Right.
So it's going to be a honey and orange Witbier. But I'm using malted wheat instead of unmalted wheat.
Okay.
And that is for a very particular reason.
Cool.
But yeah, so that for me is the differences. I could have went for unmalted and just kind of stuck more to a traditional style because I am using a wheat yeast as opposed to a wheat beer yeast. But, you know, I wanted that extra body that you're going to get from the malted
Nice.
wheat.
And then a wheat beer being very obviously a beer made out of wheat.
It has very little else going on. It's wheat and, you know, you'll probably put in a certain amount of Pilsner malt just to help bring up the grain bill.
And hops, presumably, as well?
Yeah, there'd be hops, but it's not a big character, but it's the same with the Witbier. It's not it's not big on the hop character. It's there just to balance out, that malty sweetness.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to trying that sort of hybrid of the two.
I have made it before, but I'm like, this is a recipe that I've changed slightly, but I made this, I think it was maybe the third or fourth beer I ever brewed.
Okay.
So, you know, I did make it a very long time ago, and it was exceptionally nice. I think it was the first beer I ever had on keg.
Nice.
So when I first got my keg fridge, it was the first beer I ever kegged, and it got drank on my 30th birthday.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it would have been three and a half years ago.
Nice. And I know wheat beer is a style that is supposed to have a much higher carbonation than you would get with traditional English ales or even IPAs and that type of thing. So suiting keg very well.
Yes, yeah, because you can just crank it up. I think I did probably about 20 bottles and then a keg of it. So I think I did about 40 litres the first time round.
I presume none of those bottles remain.
No. I mean, it's probably a good thing as well because wheat beers are they're quite delicate. So you want to drink them fresh. This is another one of those beers that you don't want to, leave for months and months and months on the shelf. You want to get it when it's good. It's not so much that you're concerned about the hop character dissipating. It's the subtle flavors. There's no big hitting flavors in a wheat beer. You're going to get some of that kind of spicy banana-ness from the yeast. From the yeast, and that's going to be there. But it's quite subtle.
Yeah, and about balance, I presume, as well.
Yeah. So it is about trying to get a good balance in with all your different flavors marrying up. So I found that the honey and orange works really well together. Well,
I mean, in anything.
Exactly.
Just add them in, chuck them in.
And in a wheat beer, it works really nicely because it gives you nice sort of clean flavors, which balance really well with the hops. So
cool.
Yeah, I can
give us the rundown. Give us the rundown.
Okay, so it's got malted wheat.
Yep.
So the reason I went for a malted wheat rather than just unmalted wheat,
which would be a standard for a wheat beer.
Yes.
That is one of the distinctions between them, as you said earlier.
Yeah. So it's malted wheat. There's Pilsner malt, and then I've put in a little bit of carapils.
Ooh.
Just to add extra head retention.
Pills.
Yeah. So it again is real light. It's not going to add any sort of real malty body to it. It's just there to kind of bring in the head retention and just bring in that nice sort of mouthfeel that you're going to get from a wheat beer.
Because with a higher carbonation rate, you do want a bit more of that head retention. You don't want it disappearing within 30 seconds.
No, exactly.
It's going to be a bit.
There is obviously honey in it.
Ooh.
And then
any particular honey?
Well, I think the first time I did it, I used an orange blossom honey, which was really nice, but expensive.
Yeah.
So this time I've just went for a pretty down the line clear honey.
And I guess if you are using orange as well as honey blossom, orange blossom honey, the chances of you actually picking up any of the orange notes from the honey are very low.
Exactly. So that's why this time I was like, okay, let's just go for the cost effective option and just get So it's still going to have that honey flavour, but with the honey, what that will do is that'll add a lot of fermentable sugars, but no body, so it can make the beer a bit thin. Hence the
despite
malted
being
wheat.
Strong.
Yes, yeah. So this one's going to come in slightly stronger than your standard wit. It's going to be at about 6.3%.
Nice.
and it's just because of that, the extra fermentable sugars that are coming in from the honey.
To add enough to create flavour.
Yes.
Adds enough to make it boozier.
Yes, exactly. And the way to combat that and keep the ABV down would be to drop the Pilsner malt down a little bit. But again, the reason I'm using malted wheat is to balance out the thinness that the extra thinness that you're gonna get from the honey. And then we're using Zars as
nice. Classic Czech Noble hop.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a 60-minute bittering, and then we're going to do a 10-minute.
Right.
Yeah, a 10-minute addition as well.
So super low aroma. You'll get a little bit from that 10 minutes, but really not much.
Yeah, but not a lot. Just like just enough to help balance out like the honey notes and the orange notes, just so you've got a little bit there, which would be quite nice, I think.
Cool. And I've seen you've got the Witbier yeast on the
So I think this may be the first time we've done an episode where I've used the stir plate. So I got a wet yeast, and because they say that that's a pitchable amount for 25 litres, I'm doing about 42 litres today.
Nice.
So on Friday, Monday today, Friday, I decided to get out the stir plate, got out my Erlenmeyer flask, whipped up some light DME in some water, and then I just pitched the yeast into it. And what that's done is that's going to give me a 2-litre starter. So it's going to, essentially give me 2 litres of
raring to go
of already active yeast. And that's the good thing about it is as soon as you pitch it, it's already doing that job.
Yeah,
it's already awake. It's already eating. It's the same reason you would rehydrate dried yeast.
Yeah,
so that it's ready to go. But I would never advise doing a starter like that with dried yeast.
No, a lot of the packets of dried yeast come with very specific nutrients for that very specific job of keeping the yeast alive and giving them just what they need to kickstart straight into proper fermentation. And so doing a starter can mess around with that. And
well, you also end up actually killing off more cells than you get because it, like in dried yeast, the cell count is huge in a packet. In the wet yeast, it's not as high. So it is always advisable to either pitch, more packets of wet yeast. But with dried yeast, if you make a starter, the amount of cells that you lose making the starter,
just not worth it.
It's just you may as well just bang it in dry, or just rehydrate it.
Yes, I used to just rehydrate. I've now heard that a lot of the packets are specifically designed not to be rehydrated, and rehydrating can actually slow them down in a sort of weird way.
I think it just depends on what packets you buy.
Yeah. And it definitely didn't used to be the case.
No.
This is just a sort of within the last couple of years they've been
like I say, because you can buy own brand yeast from various shops, and they won't have it.
No, Wilco's won't have gone to that.
No, but I mean, like Wilco's yeast is. I often have a couple of packets of that just kicking about the house just in case.
It's 25p a packet or something.
Well, that's it, and it's just Nottingham Ale yeast. That's actually what it is. Like they don't brand it. It's just branded, I think, as an English ale yeast, but it's actually just Nottingham Ale yeast, which is quite nice. It does the job.
Yeah. So in a pinch.
Yeah, exactly. We've got the stir plate. We'll try and get some pictures or maybe like a little video of that to bang up because I'm quite proud of that. I made that one myself because stir plates bloody expensive if you buy them.
We'll put the
if you make them
schematics or
cheap.
something somewhere.
I haven't got schematics.
Yeah, okay.
I can try and make some, but I'm not very good at blueprinting.
Right, okay. Well, that sounds like a lovely beer, and shame there aren't any more bottles of the previous batch to give
that's
it a go,
it. I don't think they would be at their best. But,
no.
We're going to have 40 litres of this, so
Oh,
probably going to just double keg it. So I'm just going to have 2 kegs of it.
Ooh. So you finish one keg and you go, oh, that's fine. I've got another one.
Another keg. Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's, I'm looking forward to this. I remember this recipe being really nice. So, and obviously I'm putting bitter orange peel in.
Oh, yes.
So that's going to be in there as well.
Just peel.
Yeah, so you buy it dried rather than, I don't peel oranges.
Oh, you don't sit there zesting?
No. You buy it dried from homebrew stores and you get bitter orange peel, sweet orange peel. You just bang that in.
Any reason you're going for bitter rather than sweet?
Well, obviously the honey doesn't add any sweetness because obviously that gets fermented out. But I don't know. I think it would just be a bit too sickly if it came across as super sweet.
Because that is one of the traditions with certain wheat beers, especially sort of German ones, is adding a slice of orange.
Yes.
Or lemon sometimes as well, but a slice of orange.
Just some sort of citrus
in the glass, like not squeezed or anything, just for that little hint.
Yeah, that little extra kick.
Nice.
But I mean, once this is ready, we can maybe give that a try.
Ooh.
Put various bits of fruit in the glass if you want.
Get your oranges in.
Yeah.
So, right, brilliant. I think though it's time for some beer ye. Time for the beer news.
Oh, we've got beer news.
Yeah, this is more of a sort of open discussion rather than a full-on bit of news. The bit of news is that a very good brewery close to us called Sirencraft hinting that they are going to be opening for little bits of crowdfunding.
Yeah. Thunderclouds.
Exactly.
Are you trying to say crowdfunding?
Crowdfunding / investing.
Yeah.
Type opportunities.
Okay.
Soon.
Yeah.
And it just got me sort of wondering, what is the place of crowdfunding in the modern beer market?
Yeah, it's a difficult one really, because obviously you've got a lot of sites out there like Kickstarter and various other sites where companies can generate income, well not income, but generate kind of investment in their company by selling products before they're made. And like I'm well up for it. I think it's a great way for new companies to get off the ground, get new products onto the market. But for existing companies to use that, especially when they're profitable, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one, because I know BrewDog, they crowdfunded for a hotel, and it's like, you guys have got plenty of money,
millions and millions already.
and it just seems like they're unwilling to take the risk with their money. They'd rather just say, Can we have some of your money, please? And it's like, I don't know.
In exchange for a small chunk of the profits.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think with the BrewDog one, and it's the same with Kickstarter, is you're not buying shares. You don't get the profit. You buy a product essentially before it's made. So I think with the BrewDog one, it was, you got, I don't know, like a dressing gown. I don't know. I'm making that up, but I think the higher tier ones were like you get a night in the hotel.
Yeah, but
you're not getting like a percentage of the business. It's not like investing. It's not like an investment capital. It's you're buying a night in the hotel before the hotel's bought.
Yeah, which may never happen.
Which might not happen. So if the product goes duff, I mean it didn't. It did actually take off, but it was somewhere in America. So why would it, unless you were really interested in going to America and staying in the BrewDog hotel
just for one night as well.
Why would me or you invest in that?
Yeah.
It's like, but I don't know. It seems to be. I think it's a great idea for new companies.
Yeah, if a new brewery starting from nothing.
Yeah.
Just maybe they've got some high quality brewers from other breweries and that type of thing, and it's just like, we're good, we're raring to go, all we need is a little bit of investment, to open.
Yeah, like even if it was just, we need like a few £1,000 to buy some casks because we don't have enough casks, or we want this bit of equipment, like that, I think is fine. Yeah, because it's a new brewery, but an established brewery basically asking for money because they don't want to risk their cash.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's a hard, because I mean, like, do you know what the money's for?
I don't know precisely.
Yeah.
But there are positives to crowdfunding, because I've seen it both in board gaming news and that type of thing.
Yeah.
I myself am a professional board game designer, so I've seen a lot of that from that point of view. But then also in the music industry, it's starting to become a big thing. A lot of bands crowdfunding.
So crowdfund albums, don't
albums. They? Some of them are established bands on big record labels that don't need to crowdfund to get their album. One of the big advantages to doing it that way is that it builds up hype long before the product is out.
Yeah.
So if there's this one product that's coming out, it almost acts like a pre-sale sort of service and hype machine, and it's like you can drip feed the supporters and followers little hints, and like, and then here's 10 seconds from this one thing, and a little video showing this little card, and everyone gets super stoked, and then the product comes out and it's fine.
Well, it is a really good medium for that, a really good, fantastic advertising area. I mean, I use Kickstarter quite regularly for board games and stuff like that, but it's largely just because you can get certain things that you wouldn't be able to get if it came out retail. But there's lots of companies that can afford to do it themselves, so big board game companies that can afford to do that, and actually but they don't want to take the risk with their own money.
No.
And it's like,
it's a bit of a shame.
It is, like, because it would happen anyway, but it's just they don't want to risk it. But with that, you're buying a product, essentially. I think I've only been stung twice on Kickstarter. Once a project didn't fund, but you get your money back for that. But
really?
one project did fund, but then after
they just ran off with the money.
After 2 years, they just folded and went, no, we can't do this.
Yeah.
And that's it. You lose your cash.
Because you're not buying a physical thing.
No.
You're funding the opportunity for them to potentially make it.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
This weird grey area.
Whereas, I mean, Brewdog, they have a equity for punks bit, and that I don't mind, because you're actually buying shares. You're buying something that you can. It's a percentage of the company, essentially. If they do well, your share price goes up, and you can then sell that on.
Yeah. Plus, you get discounts at various Brewdog pubs and that type of thing.
Whereas with the hotel bit, it's like, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, you guys can afford to do this. They can.
Yeah.
Like, but they just don't want to risk their own money. So, I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yes. All right. Let's to cease mulling this over. I think we should probably go and get a beer and talk about that instead.
Yeah, I could do with a beer, actually.
Yeah. Woo. So what do we got first?
This is Paulaner Hefeweizen.
This is Paulaner that are a bit more famous for their Oktoberfest sort of beers, their Munich Ales and so on.
No, like this I think is going to be very very traditional, very down the line. I can't read anything on the back. I don't speak German.
Oh,
so there's
German,
I mean, there's a 12.5% WAG. Don't even know what that is. It's 5.5%.
Cool.
That's what I've got.
Sort of tangerine orange in colour.
Yeah, and I mean, look at that head retention.
Yes.
Look at that. That is.
They weren't joking about the higher carbonation points.
No, they weren't. And obviously cloudy, because wheat beer and wheat yeast the yeast sits in suspension a lot easier. So it's very low flocculation.
Yeah.
So it doesn't clump up and drop down. It sits in the beer.
Yeah.
And just
flocculation being the point, the where yeast stick to itself.
Yeah. Basically. They flock together.
No.
And then drop. So like normally in a beer, if you would crash cool it, and that helps to drop the yeast down. Whereas with, if you've got this sort of style of beer where it's okay for it to be a bit cloudy, you don't really need to worry about, crash cooling it for too long. Because, well, I mean, like why bother? And that also means that unfined.
Yeah.
They just, what's the point in finding it?
No point. So good for vegans.
Yeah. So how is it? You going in for a smell there?
Yeah. So straight away you got that sweet banana edge to it. I'm not getting much of that clovey spice, the really sort of yeasty hit, but definitely banana. In for a sip.
Always going in. It does smell so good though.
And it's very refreshing. Quite sweet. Not as sort of sickly, stodgy sweet as some wheat beers get. It's got that little bit of a crisp finish, but it's still good.
It's got a slight sourness to it as well. Like not super, but just like right at the end there. I don't know if it's just because it's my first beer of the day.
Yes, mine too. And I have just had black coffee, so
yeah. There is a slight sourness there, and that's from the I imagine probably from the yeast. So like some wheat beers and some wit beers, they do have a slight sourness to them.
Yeah, just a hint, just creeping in.
Yeah, but like you said, it's sweet initially, but it's got that banana-iness to it.
Yeah, and it really does. Yeah, that the banana lingers a lot more than anything else.
Yes, yeah, but real clean, real crisp. Like I mean, Paulaner are a well-renowned, well-renowned brewery. And they do nice stuff. They do.
They're, as I mentioned earlier, their Oktoberfest beer is fantastic. 6% lager that just drinks easy as anything.
Yeah. It's slightly worrying. Like when we get that on in the pub, it's like, oh, here it goes.
Here we go.
Because we also have those like the 2-pint steins as well, don't we?
Yeah.
So that doesn't help. 2 pints.
Doesn't help anyone.
No. But apparently, I'm just looking at the bottle here. The few bits I can read. 1634.
Okay.
So, that's
the time it was made.
I don't think that's when this was bottled. I think that's probably when the brewery first came about, established. Okay. So, that could bring us quite nicely to, do you know any history of wheat beer?
Yes. So wheat beer does have a bit more of a complex past than other styles. Being a product of Germany, they're obviously affected by the Reinheitsgebot that often shows its ugly head in these types of things, for better or for worse. This style, actually, when the Reinheitsgebot initially came into place, made it legal for wheat to be used at all. So initially it was just malt, water and hops were the only ingredients. I believe that's true.
I think it is, because it's the purity laws, isn't it?
Yeah. And they obviously didn't know what yeast was back then. So just...
Yeah. It's interesting that those purity laws are still about.
Yes.
Yeah, we know yeast exists.
So it does get changed. Wheat was added because apparently the aristocracy loved wheat beers so much that they kicked up a big fuss and got it changed so that wheat could be added.
As is the way with money.
Yes, money and power. Lovely.
Yeah.
And it was only in the 1800s it was sort of brought back a little bit with Schneider doing the Schneiderweiss, which if you see around the place is a lovely wheat beer.
Yes,
It's a lot darker. It's more sort of reddish orange in colour. And then again in the 60s it was sort of brought back. Not in the 1960s, it was brought back on the more sort of commercial scale of things with Hergarten doing the wheat beers, and then places like Erdinger and Franziskaner and that type of thing doing the German wheat beer system to add to Schneiderweiss and
so it's a very very old style of beer which almost disappeared. Which would have been a shame.
Yes, well, when you've got sort of in comparison to things like lager, which is just so easygoing and refreshing on a hot day, wheat beers can be a bit heavy, and you really do need to be in the mood for them. I know some people do just knock them back time after time, but that is a very small percentage compared to the people that knock back lager all day.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, like you say, it can just be a bit cloying in the end. But that's normally the yeast character that kind of brings that about.
Yeah, and that lack of a really dry, hoppy finish.
Yeah.
That just keeps it refreshing.
But what I do like about this style of beer is it works really well as an alcohol-free beer as well.
It does.
There's plenty of, Paulaner have the Hefeweizen alcohol-free.
Yeah, this very beer that we're drinking now does have a fantastic...
Yeah, and it works really well. I mean, I've tried other alcohol-free lagers and stuff like that, and they're okay, but, they're just missing something. Whereas the alcohol-free wheat beers, it works. It's slightly sweeter, slightly maltier, but yeah, it just seems to work as I think they marketed it as... at least labelled as an isotonic drink, which it is. It technically is.
Yeah.
So, if you're going out for like a long run or something like that and you want an isotonic drink afterwards or maybe beforehand, get yourself an alcohol-free Paulaner.
Yeah.
Just get it in you.
Why not?
And yeah, I mean, there's been many times I've been down the pub and, if I haven't been drinking or I haven't really wanted to drink, then, I have went for that.
Yeah.
Alcohol-free version. Really nice.
Yeah, and the pub we work at is on the route of the Reading Half Marathon as well. One of the things they do every year is have a little table out the front and hand out tiny little cups of beer.
Yeah, not alcohol-free beer.
Not alcohol-free. No, they normally go for the lowest ABV they can get, something like 3.5.
Yeah, it seems reasonable.
Yeah, and there are a surprisingly large amount of takers.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, a small cup of free beer just to give you some sugar.
Yeah, but actually, small amounts of alcohol while you're out running can be quite beneficial.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought like alcohol bad at all.
Nah.
No?
Large quantities, yes.
Yeah.
But, in small quantities, actually, it's perfectly fine. I read it in some books I was reading when I was training, so... Yeah, but it works out right. Should we have another beer?
Let's run to the fridge.
No, my house isn't big enough for that. Might be able to walk. Right, what have we got here then?
So this is by a London brewery called Howling Hops.
Howling Hops.
And this is their traditional East End Hefeweizen.
Oh.
Which again is a wheat beer.
Yeah.
4.5%.
Nice.
So a little bit weaker. A little bit more to the sort of UK palate rather than the sort of traditional German one.
Yeah.
But very... yellow.
Yeah, it's got a real light straw colour to it, hasn't it? Again, it's got that haziness. You seem to have retained a better head than mine, though.
Yes, I poured them both terribly.
Good, well done. You're a professional barman.
Yes, I'm so impatient.
Get it in the glass.
I want it in my face.
Okay,
but immediately smelling huge amounts of banana. Similarly,
yeah. I mean, like that is just straight across the board. Like I think you're going to find that with pretty much every. It's the yeast profile. It's so prominent in these styles of beers.
And there's a lot less in the way of the aroma, unlike the Paulaner where it was a bit darker. Like you can smell some of that sort of sweet, robust malt in the background. Whereas this is just that big wheat beer flavour. And what do you think of the flavour?
Oh, yeah, that's really good. So it's got that initial sweetness. But again, it's got that sour bitterness to it right at the end, so that the banana flavour does linger, but the bitterness actually comes through quite a lot with this.
Yeah, it's a bit drier.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like, a lot more than it did with the Paulaner.
Yeah, I could drink that. That's very refreshing.
Yeah, it is good. I'm just going to grab the can.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what makes it a traditional East End Hefeweizen. I haven't looked into the history of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of information on the can.
Yeah, it might just be as simple as they've not tweaked the water at all, and this is
yeah, very possibly
just straight from the Thames.
I do like the artwork. They've done really well with that.
So, talking of water, though, what have you done for your brew, water-wise?
Nothing. I've poured water into my hot liquor tank and let it get hot.
Cool. Any reason why you've avoided tampering?
Well, I just find that it's useful to do sometimes, but the differences it makes isn't really that huge. So sometimes it's just like, if I'm just being lazy. Like, then I just don't bother, and then other times I do bother. And I think when I made this recipe the first time, I didn't tinker with it because I hadn't had my water tested. So, it's because I don't have anything to directly compare it with. This time I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I won't do a water treatment, and then I'll make it again soon, and maybe do a water treatment just so I can see if there is actually a difference.
Yeah.
And just kind of experiment that way. But largely it was laziness. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, perfectly valid brewing technique.
Yeah, it's just like, well, I can't be bothered today, and so I don't. But.
Well, if they have or they haven't, it's lovely. As you said before, that dryness is definitely a lot more prominent. You have still got that sweetness at the front, and definitely the long sweet banana finish, but it's just more refreshing and more easy going.
Yeah, I mean, like what I have noticed about that, like the dryness, it takes away a lot of the kind of, I don't know, the clagginess, the mouthfeel. It doesn't feel like drinking several pints of that would end up being overly filling, kind of, just too much. Whereas I think some of the other wheat beers you have, it's like, okay, yeah, that's good for like a pint or two, but that's pretty much about it because I need something to clean my mouth. Whereas the bitterness really kind of helps push it through, I think.
So maybe they've just sort of upped the hops a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's no information on the can as to what hops they've used or an indication as to the grain bill or anything like that. It'd be nice to see what sort of hops they've used. I can pretty much assume I know which ones they've went for, but yeah, I like information on bottles or cans.
Yes, this is a can.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Also, big carbonation as before, but the head retention been a bit rubbish, especially compared to the Paulana next to it.
Mine's gone.
Yeah.
Like completely gone. Like I don't have a head.
Yes. And the Paulana that we poured 10 minutes ago now still got that sort of 5 mil of nice bubbly head retention.
And I like it when things maintain a head because like you swirl it around, break the bubbles up, give it a good smell. But well, I mean, I'll drink it. Because it's very nice.
Yes, it is.
So it's going down.
Good work, Howling Hops.
Yeah, well done.
Should we try something else though?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Oh, we got something special now.
Yeah, so this is a bit interesting. It's this is a beer that I brewed a little while back. Me and Chris, so Chris McLennan from the Space Jam Continuum, me and him brewed a beer, and it started out with him saying, "Can you brew with Weetabix?"
A good question.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. Let's find out. So, we did some experiments and tried to work out how much fermentable sugars were in Weetabix. It's not a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's not being malted at any point. There's very little sugar. So it was like, right, well, we can't do that. But I reckon I can make a beer that tastes like a bowl of Weetabix. So that's what I set out to do. So it's
a noble goal.
I know, right? It's kind of a wheat beer, but I don't know, a bit different. So it's got malted wheat.
Yep.
Pilsner malt.
Yep.
This is all sounding very much like a wheat
very
beer
much
right now.
like the beer you're brewing today.
Caramel wheat malt.
Okay.
Carapils.
Yeah, which again?
Flaked wheat.
Ooh.
Lactose sugar.
Yeah.
This is to help it taste like it's milky.
So you got the milky bit. Yeah.
So it tastes like you're eating a bowl of Weetabix. Mittelfru.
Nice.
But not a lot. And California ale yeast.
Okay.
As opposed to a wheat beer yeast.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know if you've ever eaten a bowl of Weetabix. It doesn't taste like banana.
Not as much.
Exactly. So, that's why I went for California ale yeast. So, that is why, if you look at it, that's clear as out.
Crystal clear.
Yeah. Like, that is clear. Considering it's bottle conditioned, it's, it's done quite a good head retention. Again, from the flaked wheat and the carapils really help with head retention. So, how's it taste? Does it taste like eating a bowl of Weetabix?
Well, I'm not getting much banana from the nose, predictably.
No. I'll be very surprised if you did, but...
It is, interesting, because it is quite sweet.
Yeah, but that's the lactose.
From the lactose.
Yeah.
But that, like, creamy edge does come in. There is hints of sort of wheaty banana going on. It's one of the weird things about wheat is that it will give a banana flavour no matter what yeast is
exactly.
put in. Just hints. And so anything that's like 50% wheat is going to have a hint of banana no matter what you do. But that's really refreshing.
Does it taste like it? Does it taste like a bowl of Weetabix? No,
it's not got the right texture.
Well, oh God, can you imagine that big lumpy, gloopy thing just plopping out there? Now, I wouldn't want it like that. But that was the intention. It was like, right, can I make a beer that tastes like a bowl of Weetabix?
Yeah.
So you might be seeing more from the cereal range. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start trying to make different beers that taste like bowls of cereal.
Yeah. What have you got so far?
Well, we got the Weetabix one. Yeah. I'm thinking about doing a Shreddies.
Shreddies, okay.
Or maybe Cocoa Pops.
Pops.
I could do Cocoa
Chocolate
Pops.
And rice.
Yeah, I could do like a Cocoa Pop stout. Cocoa Pop milk stout. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So are these a sort of milk lactose-y sort of?
Yeah. So they're all going to have lactose in because you've got to. I find you have to do that just to give it that the sort of milk that you would be eating in a bowl of cereal sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be hard to avoid the lactose sugar. So I think that this is going to be a good one for our listeners. If you've got any sort of cereal ideas that you want to send our way, just like just tweet us.
Tweet, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, just get in touch somehow and give us suggestions on different cereals that you like to eat that we can try and make into a beer.
Yeah, and we'll do one next year sometime.
We'll give it a crack because that Weetabix one I think works out quite well.
It does.
I really like it.
It's a very nice beer. Very nice beer. It's difficult to get that real bite of the malt of the sort of grains in Weetabix because of the texture, I guess, and like it's tricky.
It's the aftertaste for me that just screams Weetabix.
Yeah.
Not the actual.
Not the drinking.
Yeah, not the actual. It's like once it's gone.
That I've just had a bowl of Weetabix.
I've just had some Weetabix.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can see that there.
Yeah.
For that, mission accomplished.
Yay! Right. Should we try the next actual wheat beer?
All right. Go on.
Rather than just that. So what we've got here then, Mike?
So last up, we have a collaboration between Northern Monk.
Yeah.
Who I don't think we reviewed yet, but they collaborate with a northern small chain of restaurants called Bunderbust that specialise in vegetarian and vegan Indian food.
Yeah.
And have amazing beer selections. It's a weird mix, but it's a wonderful place. This is something called the Bombay Dazzler.
Right.
At, 4.8%?
Yeah.
And so it is a wit beer rather than a wheat beer in that it's spiced, but it's they've taken, rather than the traditional sort of Belgian spices that you normally add to a wit beer, or sort of orange or extra bits and pieces, coriander seed, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They've taken more of a focus on sort of Indian ingredients.
Okay.
So you have got the coriander seed.
Yeah.
You've also got ginger and cardamom pods.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so straight off the bat, it is like light straw coloured, hazy, no head retention.
No.
At all.
Was it really highly carbed when you poured it?
I mean, it wasn't like highly carb. I mean, you can tell there's a good carbonation in there. But the head just dropped off. I mean, when I poured it, it had a nice head on it, and literally as I just walked into the living room, it's just dropped straight off. But the smell of it...
The smell is incredible.
It's outstanding.
That coriander seed and the cardamom as well.
Yeah, the coriander is the biggest smell there for me, I think.
Yeah, you get the hints of the ginger, but it's not a big...
I think the ginger's going to be more prominent in the mouth, though.
Yeah.
I reckon. Give it a go.
I'm going to go.
He's gone in.
Oh, that's drier than I was expecting.
Yeah?
As well, yeah, that big sweetness lasts for a split second, and then you've got that real sort of spicy dryness that just evaporates everything, but leaves in its place a really nice lingering spice mix.
Yeah, it's really complex at the end. I mean, like, the ginger's not as prominent as I thought. Like, no. I'm definitely getting ginger. The coriander is there.
Big, yeah.
Like, really there.
I do like a bit of coriander.
I like coriander. So, like, with today's beer, I was toying with the idea of doing like a coriander and black pepper as opposed to a honey and orange. But we'll just have to save that for another day.
Yeah.
Because I do like the coriander in wheat beers. It works really well. And with that, that's brilliant. The ginger is definitely there, but it's not overpowering. And I think ginger can be overpowering in beer sometime.
Yeah.
But that works.
Yeah, it's
really
easy for it to overtake other flavors and dominate.
But that's exceptionally well balanced.
I can identify the cardamom still as well. Yeah. It's not a dominant flavor, but it's definitely there.
No, it's the coriander that I think kind of sings through the whole lot, but it ties it all really well together, I think.
And that's something I've learnt from going to Bunderbust restaurants, is their knowledge of flavors is spectacular, and the balance of flavors as well. Obviously, the entirety of their menu is vegetarian and vegan, so they don't have that sort of meatiness to play with that can often be a crutch for flavor development.
Yeah.
And so having to work on spice mixes without meat, I think, does develop an ability to craft well above other places.
Yeah.
Potentially. Not always. And they've done a cracking job there. So I recommend, anyone who goes up north, definitely go and try out a Bunderbust.
Yeah.
And,
or if you're already up north.
Bunderbust.
Yeah.
Fantastic food.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, they've put stuff on here.
Oh, what do they put on here?
Ingredients: malted barley, wheat, oats, hops, yeast, ginger, coriander seed, cardamom pods. It's more information than...
Did you say oats was in it? Interesting. That's not normally something that you'd put in a wit beer or a wheat beer.
No.
I wonder why they chose that.
That's really nice. I like the can art as well.
It's just a big old tiger.
No, it's not. It's not just a big old tiger, Mike. It's a tiger with a bowler hat, a monocle, and it's smoking a pipe.
Yes.
That's not just a big old tiger, is it?
It's a posh old tiger.
That's the fanciest tiger you've ever seen. Look at that tiger. He's well fancy.
Yeah. It looks like he's seen some stuff as well.
He does. He's got a haunted look on his face. But it's probably because somebody's put a top hat, well, not a top hat, a bowler hat, a monocle, and they stuck a pipe in his gob. That's a pretty haunting thing for a tiger.
Right.
So like 9 foot long.
That is as long as they get, roughly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we've had some fantastic beers. Any standout in particular?
Well, I mean the last one here, the Northern Monk, the Bombay Dazzler. That it stood out, I think, because the other two wheat beers we tried have been fantastic wheat beers. Like they've been really nice down the line. Really good examples of that style. But the Bombay Dazzler, just because of all the interesting flavours, I think that's the one that I'd be like, go on, I'll have a, if you were to go up to, if you were going up to the bar now and the all three were on, it would be
I'd get
the Bombay Dazzler that I'd go for again, because I know I can get good wheat beers as standard. And finding something that just takes that style and makes it a little bit unique would be quite good. But there again, to be honest, if they had the Wheaty beer on the bar as well, I'd be bloody impressed.
Yeah.
But
you'd go for that.
Well, it's like what I like about that one is it's just something slightly different. Because it's a cleaner sort of taste of something a bit odd. But no, I think the Bombay Dazzler. Yourself? Is that the same?
I very much so. The Hefeweizen, as you say, is really good. The Palana one, and but I think it works for me as a non-alcoholic version. I don't know if this Bombay Dazzler would work as a non-alcoholic beer as well as
I think the added sweetness, the maltiness, I think would outbalance all of the nice spices that they've got into it.
It has got a place. And the Howlin' hops, very, very good for like first beer of the day. But I would stay on the Bombay Dazzlers for the rest of the night.
I think so.
Yeah.
But, right. Well done to all of them.
Yeah. Fantastic selection. Next episode, I believe we're brewing a milk stout. If I remember correctly. So we'll be delving into the depths of lactose and dark malt and seeing what we find.
Well, if the nights are getting darker, the beer may as well get darker, I guess.
Yeah. I believe there's also going to be an episode of Final Gravity coming up next.
There is.
So look out for that.
Yeah.
Until then,
Bye.